Thanks, John. Um, Good evening, everyone. I am Harsha Padulapatti. I'm a graduate research assistant and PhD student in EC department at the University of Texas at Austin. Um, this presentation is on advanced volt-var control technologies in utility distribution system. This is the outline of this presentation. First, I'll introduce the volt-var control problem in distribution systems. Then I'll briefly present the details of the functionality of various traditional voltage control equipment. And then I'll discuss the details of the functionality of various advanced voltage controls such as smart inverters, secondary voltage regulation device, static var compensator, and unified power flow controller. And then I'll demonstrate the functionality of the performance of these devices under PV variations using the simulation results of simple circuits. Then finally, I'll present the results of actual distribution circuit simulations with these devices deployed in the model. So the primary objective of the distribution system operation is voltage regulation. That is to maintain the voltages at all customer load points within permissible limits. The ANSI standard C84.1 specifies that the service voltages should be within 5% of the nominal voltage rating. That is, for example, if you take the case of at 120 volts, that is on 120 volts base, 5% is 6 volts. So the voltages should remain within 114 volts to 126 volts. So and maintaining the voltages at these levels is can be referred to as voltage regulation. Uh, Another important objective is reactive power management. That is, majority of the loads in distribution circuit are inductive in nature. So when we don't supply the enough capacitive reactive power to those loads, the inductive reactive power will be drawn from the source, that is the substation. So when if the entire reactive power is supplied from the substation, then accordingly we'll have high currents, which increases the losses. So proper reactive power management ensures uh, reduction in the circuit losses. So managing both voltage regulation and reactive power in a coordinated fashion is volt-var control. Another requirement in this context is conservation voltage reduction. In short, it's called CVR, which is nothing but lowering of the service voltages to reduce the energy consumption. That is, for when we reduce the voltage at the load, then the energy consumption of the load gets reduced. It actually depends on the nature of load, but in general, when we reduce the voltage while keeping the voltage within the permissible limit, then we get less energy consumption. And this is particularly important in reducing the peak demand in the circuit. So this figure shows various traditional voltage regulation controls available in the distribution systems, as well as some of the advanced voltage regulation equipment. So first, here we have in every distribution circuit we have a substation with a substation transformer, and some substation transformers have load tap changer controls associated with it. That is, we can call it as a LTC. The function of LTC is to change the tap changer position in order to maintain the voltage at the substation at the required level. Uh, that is, when we have at peak load conditions, typically the voltages along the feeder are low because of high voltage drops. At that condition, the tap changer position should be higher, so that the voltage at the substation is higher. um, one Yeah, so that is load tap changer. and we also have capacitors to produce to supply the capacitive reactive power as well as to boost up the voltage at some of the points in the circuits. We also have voltage regulators. The functionality of voltage regulator is similar to load tap changer control. That is, the voltage regulator adjusts the tap position uh, so that the voltage at the secondary of the voltage regulator is increased or decreased depending on the requirement. So these are the fundamental voltage regulation equipment available in traditional distribution systems, but we have some problems associated with these devices. So the first problem is these devices are mechanical in nature. That is, we cannot operate these devices more than certain number of switching operations per day. Uh, and this particular limitation is very important in the presence of the distributed energy resources like PV and wind. When these distributed, we can call them as DERs, distributed energy resources. When in the presence of DERs, because the DERs involve um, variations, power variations or fluctuations, uh, when DERs are present, when when many DERs are present, then due to their variations, the traditional voltage regulation controls, they tend to make more number of switching operations, which reduces their life. Uh, not only uh, um, Not only that, when and these devices may not be able to give the required level of voltage regulation performance in the presence of DERs. So we need advanced voltage regulation devices uh, like UPFC or SVC or smart inverters, which are installed directly on the secondary circuit to provide effective voltage regulation performance. These devices, as opposed to the traditional voltage regulation equipment, these are controlled by power electronics using proprietary control algorithms. So these devices, they don't suffer from the mechanical wear and tear. So they can have virtually unlimited number of switching operations per day. So here I'll present the functionality of smart inverters. So uh, all PV systems and energy storage systems, they are associated with inverters, and not all inverters are smart inverters. When the PV inverters, they are associated with additional functionality like controlling of reactive power. Then we can refer to them as smart inverters. This shows the typical load profile of a customer per day. This is a 24-hour period, and this is the typical voltage profile at the customer point. So that is, when we have less demand here, we will experience higher voltage at that point, and we have higher load. We will find less voltage at that point due to the higher voltage drop in the circuit. So this is the distribution circuit here, and this is the location of the substation in this circuit. This circuit, when we don't have any PV, this is the profile, and we can refer to it as baseline PV profile. And when we have PV systems installed in this circuit, we will find both the voltage rise and as well as the fluctuations. So this is the power from the PV. So we see the fluctuations in this, and accordingly we will find the fluctuations in the voltage profile. Now, when some of these PVs are associated with volt-var control and associated with the smart inverters, accordingly we can perform volt-var control with these smart inverters. Then we will find the green green plot here, then the voltage will find the improvement in the voltage profile. That is both in terms of the variation in the voltage as well as the fluctuations in the voltage. They are reduced, and this is the curve showing the volt-var control characteristic of the smart inverter. Here, let's say this is the 1 per unit voltage. When the voltage is increased from the 1 per unit, uh, we will have a certain band where a certain dead band where we don't get any reactive power output from the inverter. But beyond the dead band, as the voltage is increasing in this direction, the the smart inverters inject inductive reactive power, so that the voltage at that point, we call that connection point as a point of common coupling, PCC. So the voltage at the PCC gets reduced, and vice versa. On the other hand, when the voltage at the node gets reduced, here the smart inverter injects capacitive reactive power, so that the node voltage gets boosted. So when we have this kind of volt-var control using smart inverters, we can find improvement in the voltages. Okay. So the another device that is commercially available can be referred to as a secondary voltage regulation device. So there is one more distinction between the traditional voltage controls and the advanced voltage controls. That is, these advanced voltage control devices are installed directly on the secondary of the circuit. I mean the secondary side of the service transformer. Here, as shown here. So SVRD is directly installed on the at the secondary node of the service transformer. So this particular device, it is rated for 10 kVAR, and it has 10 stages of 1 kVAR capacitors. So yeah, and each capacitor stage is brought into service only if it is required. So this device uses proprietary control algorithms uh, to detect to determine how many capacitor stages are required to be brought into service, so that the node voltage is maintained at the set point voltage. This device provides options to select the voltage set points. That is the voltage setting, the voltage at which we want to control the node voltage. So that is called voltage set point, as well as a voltage band. So within which the voltage is controlled around the set point value. So in this case, the voltage set point is 240 volts, that is 1 per unit, and the voltage band is selected as 2 volts. So that means that we would expect with this device connected, the node voltage to be within 239 volts to 241 volts. And when we find the voltage at the connection point, that is when we find the node voltage above 241 volts, this device does not bring any capacitor stages into service. That is, this is virtually it is kind of disconnected. This figure shows the characteristics of the SVRD, that is the SVRD voltage regulation characteristic. Here on the x-axis, the difference, the delta voltage, that is the difference between the node voltage, that is the measured node voltage, and the voltage set point. So here the blue line indicates the node voltage without the device connected. So uh, as the node voltage, so these characteristics are obtained by simulating this simple circuit. So we have reduced the node voltage by reducing the source voltage. So as we reduce, as the source voltage is reduced, the node voltage gets reduced here, and without that device connected, the node voltage gets reduced. When we have the device connected with this particular setting, that is 240 volts, with a voltage band of 2 volts, uh, we we observe that the node voltage is well maintained at 241 volts up to certain point. Beyond that, the voltage is reduced even with the SVRT connected. So this is the second plot is the reactive power injection characteristic. Here, uh, the capacitive reactive power injected by the SVRD is shown. So as we see the node voltage getting reduced here, the SVRD is bringing in required number of capacitor stages so that the node voltage is maintained at the uh, voltage set point and voltage band, that is at 241 volts. And here, after reaching 10 all after utilizing all 10 stages of the capacitors, uh, we found that the voltage gets reduced because this SVRD doesn't have any more capacitors to switch in. Okay, this is another advanced voltage regulation device called static var compensator, SVC. This device also functions similar to the previous device, but this device is rated for 20 kVAr, which has 4 capacitor stages of 5 kVAr each. That is, in this device we have 4 capacitor stages with each of 5 kVAr rating, and this device controls how many capacitors to switch in by volt based on both measured voltage as well as the voltage set point. When the voltage here, this plot is for um, for a voltage set point of 1 per unit. So here, as the voltage, the blue line indicates the node voltage without the SVC connected in the same circuit like this, and the red line indicates the node voltage with the SVC connected. As the When we don't have SVC connected, as the voltage gets reduced, we don't find any difference. And when we have SVC connected, it is trying to maintain the voltage at the 1 per unit voltage, because that is the voltage set point of SVC. Another device is unified power flow controller. This device has a different architecture which is similar to the UPFC we find in transmission systems. So this with the UPFC like architecture, that is a series voltage and a shunt current source, uh, we 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 can be able to both inject series voltage as well as we'll be able to supply reactive power also by controlling the angle between this current with respect to this voltage source. So this device has this device can perform in three operating modes. The first mode is voltage regulation mode, in which the focus is to control the voltage at the output node, that is V out. And this device injects the series voltage in order to maintain the V out voltage at the required set point. And in mode 2, this device performs power factor correction. That is, it injects required shunt current in order to maintain the power factor at V input, because at the output node the power factor depends on the load connected. By appropriately inject the required amount of capacitive or inductive reactive power depending on the nature of load and the power factor desired power factor setting, it by injecting required amount of reactive power, this device is able to maintain the power factor at the input side at the desired level. And in mode 3, it performs both the objectives, that is, it performs both voltage regulation as well as power factor correction. these are these characteristics of UPFC in voltage regulation mode. So the first figure shows the load voltage without UPFC connected and with UPFC connected in the circuit. So here, as the transformer primary voltage is getting reduced, uh, we find that the node voltage without the device is also getting reduced accordingly. And the blue line shows with the voltage, the load voltage with the UPFC, which is almost constant, close to 1. And after this point, we find that the voltage is reduced with the transformer primary voltage. So that is, this device has 10%, it can inject 10% voltage up to 10% of its rating. That is, it can inject up to 24 volts, either positive voltage or negative voltage. We can see the voltage injection curve here. It can inject either positive or negative voltage in order to maintain the secondary side voltage at the desired value. So here we considered the influence of PV variations. So in this circuit we placed SVRD, and we connected both PV with variations and the load. So and we performed a 24-hour simulation, that is a daily simulation. The load profile is this, and the PV profile is this. We have fluctuation, a lot of fluctuations in the PV profile. Accordingly, here the blue line is without the SVRD connected, the node voltage profile. We find the variations due to the load variations, as well as here we find the voltage fluctuations due to the PV fluctuations. So when SVRD is connected here, we find a voltage boost here, because the voltage setting is 1, that is 1 per unit, 240 volts here. So throughout the day we find the voltage boost, but we did not find any reduction in the fluctuations. So this is the power, the reactive power injected by the SVRD. Up to, it can inject up to 10 kVAr here, and there is changes in the reactive power requirement according, which we find here. Interestingly, this is the similar simulation in the same circuit with UPFC connected here. So a difference between SVRD and UPFC is, as mentioned earlier, this is a shunt connected device, both SVRD as well as SVC, that shunt connected devices, whereas UPFC is a series connected device here. Now here this is the blue line is the node voltage which has without UPFC connected, and we see that we have both variations and fluctuations in the voltage due to PV. And with the UPFC connected, it's the voltage, node voltage is almost constant. It's and close to 240 volts, which is the setting. And this is the voltage injected by the UPFC, which indicates that the UPFC can inject required voltage dynamically in order to maintain the output voltage constant. This is the distribution circuit we have simulated with the advanced voltage control devices. This is an actual distribution circuit model, and this circuit is at 12.47 kV level. It has a substation transformer here. This is the substation here. We have a 10.5 mega MVA substation transformer. The peak load in this circuit is 5.5 megawatt, and the voltage regulation equipment available in this circuit are the substation transformer LTC, and a few capacitor banks, and we don't have a midline voltage regulator. As for the capacitor banks, we have three 1200 kVAR capacitors and one 900 kVAR capacitor, and two single phase 500 kVAR, 50 kVAR capacitors, and one more three phase 600 kVAR capacitor. So this circuit, without the advanced voltage regulation equipment, and note that all these are traditional voltage regulation equipment connected in the primary. So this figure shows the voltage, load voltages at all load points in the circuit, that in this circuit. So for a 24-hour period, um, the, this simulation is done on peak load day. So here I need to explain a little bit about this figure. So here the intensity of color indicates the number of loads that are experiencing that level of voltage. The y-axis is the voltage in per unit. So when we have colors in blue or black, that means more number of loads in the circuits are experiencing that particular voltage. And we also are interested typically in the minimum and maximum voltages in the entire circuit. The red line indicates the minimum voltage in the circuit at that particular time step, and the green line indicates the maximum voltage in the circuit at that particular time step. So from this figure we can observe that there are no over voltage violations in the circuit on peak load day, as well as but we do have certain under voltage violations at this particular minute uh, during the peak load day, and this figure is only when the traditional voltage regulation equipment are considered. And quantitatively we have 12.2% of the loads are experiencing the under voltage violations with only traditional voltage controls. And so now when we have a certain number of advanced voltage control devices available to install in the circuit, in order to eliminate the under voltage violations, so how do we proceed? And can can we control the voltages so that all the under voltage violations can be eliminated? The From our study we have understood that yes, we can place the devices at appropriate locations and be able to get the voltage regulation performance so that all under voltage violations can be eliminated. So for the same circuit, this is the figure indicating the uh, minimum voltages. So we have three clusters in the circuit where we find the under voltage violations. So one way of placing these devices is to place the devices in those nodes, in those clusters. But in order to determine the load nodes where we need to place, one way to consider is to compute the duration of the under voltage, um, and so whichever loads are experiencing longest duration of the under voltages, we can place the devices at those locations. But that doesn't take care of the magnitude of the under voltage violations. That is, suppose when we have a load that is experiencing longest duration of under voltage, whereas the under voltage violation is not that is uh, the under voltage violation limit is 0.95 per unit. So let us say the load has point just below the under voltage limit, that is 0.94 volts per unit for a certain amount of time, and another load that may be experiencing zero point 0.9 per unit but very for a short duration of time, but still we are interested in that particular node. So in order to take care of both these requirements, we can compute the area of the under voltage violation, and the loads whichever have the under voltage violations, highest area of under voltage violation, we can place those devices. So in this particular example, we have 15 SVC devices and one UPFC devices to deploy in the circuit, so that and the objective is to eliminate under voltage violations. So in we have placed these devices in these clusters uh, with the approach I mentioned. So and these are the locations for this placement. And with this placement of the advanced voltage regulation devices in the circuit, this is the same 24-hour simulation of the circuit, and we find that here the under voltage limitations are completely eliminated, and at the same time we don't even have the over voltage violations as well. uh, and the quantitative analysis revealed that even the mean of the voltage, as well as the standard deviation in the circuit voltages, it's also improved a lot with the uh, advanced voltage regulation technologies. So the conclusion is, the advanced voltage regulation technologies are very well capable of removing the under voltage violations. That is, they are able to provide desired voltage regulation performance even in the presence of the DERs. So that is. Uh, I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any. And thanks for listening to me.
Thanks so much, Harsha. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat window, or if you'd like to ask them through your microphone or phone, feel free.
Okay. Uh, Answer to this question is like, the traditional voltage regulation equipment is uh, big in size. Like the both they are very costly, as well as they are even more effective. Um, but these low voltage connected advanced regulation equipment, they are per device cost is quite lesser than the traditional voltage equipment, but we have to deploy many number of these devices uh, uh, at in a distributed fashion in the circuit. So quantitatively, I cannot answer exactly the figures, but that is the difference. Um, okay. Regarding the companies, the information is available online. Uh, but there are some two, three leading companies that are producing these devices.
Looks like we might have one more question coming in through the chat. Take a moment to see if they continue.
Okay. Energy storage also gives similar or even better performance compared to PV smart inverter, because we can control the energy storage. We can store the energy in the energy storage. Whereas in case of PV inverter, we certainly have limitation on the how much uh, reactive power we can supply at any particular moment, because it also depends on the active power being supplied by that PV. Whereas in case of energy storage, uh, we can store the energy in the energy storage and be able to supply full reactive power up to its capability. And when we install the energy storage along with PV, then uh, when PV is injecting active power, we typically find the voltage rise at that particular node. So in order to reduce the voltage, we can store some of the energies produced by the PV in the energy storage, so that at the particular node we can see the voltage reduced and to be within the permissible limit.